Hi guys, and welcome to the review of this new 2018 Mercedes-Benz CLA200d engine. I'm gonna see the specs here. This is the AMG Line version trim. This is the entry level, obviously, to the Mercedes range, but already a coupe, so you would expect it to drive a bit better than, say, your A-Class or the GLA, which are other two entry levels, to the Mercedes, and it delivers on that promise. It is great to drive. Unfortunately, it's front-wheel drive. I'm not a big fan of front-wheel drive cars, but it's actually quite interesting and quite nice to drive, being front-wheel drive car. Especially this engine is really good, suiting the car very well, very nippy, very economical, very good, combined with the gearbox, really something special, to get in the car and drive it. You can see, the AMG is AMG trim, but the seats are partially leather, not full leather, but it doesn't really matter that much. What matters for me, and that's what I want to start with the review with, is how the car makes you feel when you drive it, when you go to it, when you unlock it, when you go inside, when you start the engine, and when you drive off. Do you feel that you want to drive it? Do you feel that you feel excited to go to the car? And that's the most important part for me always when I have a car and when I drive it, when I go to it. And driving this car over 1,500 kilometers, about 1,000 miles now, I can honestly say that it does make you feel special. It does make you want to drive it and go to the next corner and feel amazing, because it's really planted really low and really great car to drive in. So let's get down to the first bit of the review and tell you about the bad and the good things straight away that I feel about this car. After driving it for a while. In the beginning, when I was driving the first days, I wasn't too convinced about the car. I wanted to say that, I was driving like a Citroen C4 Cactus and it felt no different than this car. But after a while, I tweaked as well with the the driving modes on the car, when you can really feel the difference, and I got used to these things and got used to the car, and I really enjoyed that. And now I would say it's much better over some cars like I said, Citroen or other brands, in terms of handling mostly and the way it makes you feel. The worst thing about this car so far, after a week and many kilometers on the highway, is on the motorway, is the seats. They look amazing, they seem to be fine, but they're one of the most uncomfortable seats I ever sat in. And for Mercedes, it's a blasphemy basically, because they always do amazing seats in C-Class, in E-Class. My wife was also complaining after about 150 kilometers, about 100 miles, you start to feel pain in your back, and there is nothing you can do. There is no lumbar support or any other adjustments. So maybe if there is an option to get the upgraded seats with the support, if you drive a lot on the motorway, that is, because in the daily driving, in the city, it's not a problem at all. The other bad point for me, obviously, front-wheel drive, which in this car is actually one of the best cars. I didn't feel the wheels spin or any problems. The traction is really good. The car is really managing that power on the road, and didn't have any issues with that. But obviously, I personally prefer much more the shove in the back, the push from the back, instead of car pulling in the front. Apart from that, the only small gimmicks I felt in this car are the stalks for the cruise control and the indicators are too close to each other, and it's just confusing sometimes, and just, you know, you just touch one or the other by accident, and maybe, you know, Mercedes is doing that for a while now, so they need to, you know, think about it maybe. The funny thing is, I've got in my own car the E-Class Mercedes, which is like 8 years old. The stalks are actually other way around, so whenever I drive these cars and then sit in mine, I always, you know, I always struggle to readjust basically. The other thing, which is also bad for a long time, because my car is 8-year-old in the same exactly, when you have the windscreen wipers and you wanna, you know, first put the liquid to, you know, so the wipers don't go over dry surface, it's impossible, because the way it works is when you push the button, the wipers go first, and then, you know, the liquid goes on the windshield. So it's, you know, a very bad, poor design. It's there for like 8 years, and I don't know why they do that. You know, should be able to just spray the liquid and then switch on the wipers, but Mercedes decided for some reason to do it this way, and that's it. The other small gimmick, which is the same in this one as it's in my 8-year-old car, so it's still the same. When you're low on fuel and it gets down to about 30 kilometers, you know, left, or 20 miles, something like that, the icon, the indicator for how many kilometers you've got left on the tank is disappearing, and it switches to some icon for a car with the, you know, with the petrol station. And it's very annoying, because, you know, you in that critical moment you really want to know how many kilometers you've got left in the tank basically, to get to the petrol station, and it's just changing from showing you a number to showing you basically an icon of something. And the only way to figure one out is to look at the tank indicator and try to, you know, try to make it to the petrol station basically. So that was the bad points. Not too many, honestly, and this is amazing, an amazing car. The good bits about the car that I liked a lot was, like I said, the engine, really nice. The gearbox is really interesting. It's like really makes a difference between other cars, because it really makes you feel like you're in a premium car, because obviously 7-speed gearbox designed by Mercedes, and a very good quality, very fast changes, very good response and everything. So that's a very good part of the car, which you won't get in any cheaper, you know, less premium brands. The infotainment as well, it's very good. It's improved a lot recently, and still needs to work out, but honestly I like this one more than in the higher, you know, like C-Class and higher, because this one doesn't have this strange palmers which you accidentally press the buttons with your palm. This one is just simple 2 keys and the rotary dial with the push, you know, to select, and that's it, and it's perfect, you know, and it's very good designed, and I would just want it basically in the other. So let's get down to the core of the review, which is more in depth, you know. First off is the drive of the car. That's why it changed with days when I felt the car more on the motorway and then in the city. The car is very planted, very nice to drive for the size of it. I think the wheelbase is just perfect to have that enough feel, you know, on with higher speeds, and still have the car very nippy, very well in the corners. It's changing directions very nicely. You can point it, you know, and it goes there where you want it. And the steering really in any mode basically, because you've got this couple modes, comfort and sport and eco. In any mode it's really interesting. I like it in comfort personally myself, but pointing the car is great. It gives you just the pleasure, you know, of driving basically, you can say that. and you know, up to 140, 150 kilometers, which is about over 90 miles, which is basically the limit everywhere. It's really, really good, really, really fun to drive and interesting. The quietness of the car and the comfort. The car is quiet, but not as quiet as C-Class and upwards. Obviously there is less insulation, which means less weight, you know, so it's better better handling, but obviously more noise inside the car. But it's not bad, it's really good, very comfortable and very quiet still on the motorway, at least here in Europe, in France. The only downside, the only you know, niggle with the comfort is when you've got the you know, the vertical bumps, you know, going all across the road. When you go over them, this is really, you know, you can feel it and hear it in the car. You have them like on bridges or something, or when you go with higher speed, you know, you can feel them, but that's, you know, not really a big issue about the car. Yeah. The other thing about the drive is the economy, which is amazing in the car. I'll show you, you know, how good it is right now, and it's really good to have this, you know, small tank, small car, but fast, really nice fast car, and very economical at it. So it's the perfect, you know. Then you've got this drive modes. There's dynamic select, where you can set up all the ones you want. My favorite, I would put it in individual, and in individual I've got it set up to the engine as a sport mode, then the steering in comfort, then the start-stop function switched off because I don't like it, honestly, and the climate control, yeah, you can leave that in eco or something. It really changes the nature of the car, especially the engine, because the accelerator pedal is much more responsive, and in eco mode it's very slow to react. You really need to press it very hard, which is not perfect in some situations on the motorway. We need to accelerate quickly. It doesn't really let you do that. Next up is the Practicality, which is also amazing for this size of car. Honestly, I was surprised by the spaciousness inside, by how much you can put in the boot, but how many compartments and storages you've got based on the size of the car, which, you know, is a small car. And you've got 3 compartments here, you know, small one with the for smokers, but maybe you can, you know, deselect that option and you have more compartments. The huge one here in place where the gearbox always is, because obviously you've got the stalk now, and this one is also very big with 2 USB connectors and chargers. You can always slide the armrest, which is really convenient. Then you're covering one of the cup holders, but it's still good enough. So in the rear you've got space for probably maybe barely 2 big bags, you know, 2 big, like, you know, airline bags. You can drop the seats as well. You can throw in something very long like a snowboard or something to transport, and it's really interesting. The door bins have a lot of space. The compartment as well in front of the passenger, so, and you feel really spacious in the car. You don't feel like you're cramped in. The short door maybe, you know, don't give you that support here for your elbow, for your hand, because of obviously of the short doors. But honestly, the feel inside the cabin is really spacious, really not you don't feel like claustrophobic or cramped inside. And last but not least in this car is the design, which I am not a big fan of the design personally. The car, when it was released a couple years ago, I thought it's one of the ugliest cars on the market, simply because of the outside. When I was looking at it, the car seems to start and straight away and you know, there was no, like, you know, obviously it's not a long car like CLS or you know, E-Class or something, but it was just weird, you know, how the car is designed. You know, it's like, you know, I couldn't look at it. Basically, I didn't like it at all. This new facelifted version is a little bit better, especially in this black color. You know, I understand because of the headroom, maybe it has to go high and then just drop down. Obviously the looks of the four-door coupe, you know, make it all that, you know. This car would have two doors, then obviously it would probably look amazing with the roof in the back going, you know, lower even. But I'm not a big fan. If you like the design outside, you know, it's up to you. I love it inside. I think, you know, the materials, the classy, you know, plastic here, for me it's enough. I'm not gonna complain, you know, about some trim down there below and anything, because whenever you touch it, you know, the quality, the design, the looks of it, the premium, you know, silver accents, is a very good place to be. And you know, the dials are very nice, the center screen between the dials. And thank you for watching. Really means the world to me, and please subscribe down there.